leadership is a constant growth and a constant development, and being the leader doesn't mean you have all the answers. Being a leader is a big part is to bring the information in from those around you. And in the end, you're going to take credit and take blame for whatever happens, regardless of where the ideas or things came from. But, I think, speaking to you, you've never had an insatiable ego. A desire for perfection, I think, is the area where it's the biggest challenge, right? Is wanting it to be perfect and trying to control everything is a natural reaction to people that want to create success, right? When you're so invested in creating success, a lot of times the need to control it all to ensure that is what leads. But being able to let go and growth comes from wisdom and age, and that's it's very, very cool to hear, because it's a natural part of everybody's growth. So just kind of shifting on to the next part of your career. So then you get this incredible time under Coach Williams, and then you have your first kind of move, and you move over. You spent a year with Coach Seth Greenberg over at Virginia Tech, and I remember talking to you back then, kind of about that experience. But tell me a little bit about kind of what that experience was like. Anything that stuck out working with Coach and your time at Virginia Tech.
I think the biggest thing for me was just it was the first time in my career working under somebody different. And at Maryland, everything was so in line, and everyone knew how Gary did things, and man, we just had everything buttoned up. There was obviously an adjustment for me, just learning a new way of doing things. I think that was the biggest, adjustment. Good experience. Got a chance to really grow my network recruiting, because I did so much recruiting that year, and also got a chance to be around Coach Greenberg, who I think is one of the best basketball minds, just a really, really good basketball mind on tons of different basketball topics because of his experience. So did it for a year before, going to Birmingham with Coach Jared Haas when he first got the job at UAB. And one of the reasons why I made that move was I thought at that point in my career, the one thing, I was so driven to be a head coach, even though I was still young. And the one thing I thought that my resume did not have was I had not been a part of a program where there was a new coach, or you had proven that you could build something, if you will. Maryland, I walked in at the end of his career. Seth, I walked in kind of at the end of his time at Virginia Tech. So now going to UAB as an assistant with Jared Haas, it was the ability to be able to show the ability to help build a program, take over as a new coach. And we were lucky to do that in 4 years, and had a great experience.
So how did you connect with Coach Haas and lead into that job? Was that someone that you had built a relationship with before? Or did you interview for that job kind of as it came up? What was the process like?
When I was at Maryland, Coach Haas was at Carolina, and we just played. And, this is common, like recruiting and playing against these guys. You just get a chance to know them. And Coach Haas was from South Lake Tahoe, so obviously from the California area. Played at Kansas, played at Cal. I mean, I knew who he was. He was kind of like a big deal too to me when I was younger. Remember watching him in college. And so just being in the same league, getting a chance to meet and get to know the Carolina staff through the years. When he got the UAB job, him and I had always kept in touch. We had talked outside of recruiting and playing, and that's kind of how, and he was very close with another person that I was close with that I had worked for. And, it's the cliche, it's who you know, but yeah, part of it is the relationships that I had built with him. And then I think also, a combination of the reputation that I had built. And yeah, that's kind of how I was able to get there.
And then you spend 8 years in the program. So, that's an extremely long time to be anywhere in life, any profession, but 8 years, 4 years as coach's assistant, moving up. And I think we're an associate head coach with him, right, at points. And then you take over and get your first opportunity as, a head coach at the UAB program, where you've already established yourself and, have a 4-year run there. What was that like, that opportunity, that experience? And there was obviously a transition. So walk us through kind of the emotions and the process of taking over your first job as a head coach.
Yeah. mean, we could do a whole podcast on just that, you know, the transition, but it was, I was 33 years old at the time. I joke that I think myself, my family, the fans, the donors, I mean, I thought I was going to be the next Brad Stevens, if you will, just because I was so young and I was taking over this job and I had such a big impact on us winning 2 championships. And we had almost everybody coming back. And the first 6 months of being a head coach at UAB were the polar opposite of being the first 6 months here at UIC. And what I mean by that is we didn't have to get one recruit. There was no recruiting. The guys who were coming were coming. Nobody was transferring. We had our whole team. I mean, there was no recruiting at all. And we had already established our offense and defense. Like, it was the complete opposite, right? Didn't have to move. But I was taking over a program with huge expectations, like out of this world expectations, to be honest, at that time. And I do think in coaching college basketball, timing is one of the most important things to being successful. The time you take over and the situation and the resources. We were also at UAB going through an interesting time where UAB athletics had cut the football team, and then they decided a year later to bring it back. So there was a lot going on from a department-wide stuff. So amazing opportunity. Failed more than I succeeded, obviously. Had some great moments. Amazing time for my family, for our staff. Built some amazing relationships in Birmingham that I still have to this day. Birmingham, all my 3 kids were born there. UAB gave me a chance at a young age that I will forever be indebted to. Again, so many leadership lessons, so many basketball coaching lessons. I mean, just so many things you go through, and we had a lot of success. I mean, winning record. And I think because of the success we had, obviously, it's one of the reasons why I'm here now at UIC today, back as a head coach. So I think it is, I'm appreciative that multiple people, around the world, around the country, if you will, and around our profession and around college basketball recognized how good of a job I did at a young age, and just a cool experience